It's too dark. Hold on. Oh, that's better. Maybe I'll talk more like this. I don't know. Point is, um, to help sum up the last video I had about racism, um, to tell us a moral lesson, it becomes there were stories that are kind of repeating that it's kind of explained to us preposterously because we're told, well, we were aiming for this, and then we ended up shooting that over there. You know, like um, the war with the many different wars of Iraq. Like Loose Black says, um, he says we're aiming for something in front of us, but we ended up shooting something beside us. You know, quail, congressman. You know, and it's like it's a preposterous story, and it boils down to you were clearly not a competent person for the job you thought you were doing. Anyway, yes, that's basically it. Anyway, there was a thing I wanted to mention about. Well, let me explain it. Really, in this anecdote, it was in a promo for a commercial for some. Again, why they wanted to do this, I don't know. But if they want to be a comedy set for a particular demographic, then just put in that demographic. So it's like all white cast, all black cast. You know, it's like, really? I can imagine this back in the '90s when we had that, and it's like, okay, but by now we should have. But no, we barely even have anybody really swapping, really. So it just gets kind of stupid when I see, and it's a black comedy, and it's all black people. It's like, really? You're just gonna have all? Okay, well, all right. That's what they wanted to do. So anyway, there was this comedy. I forget what it was called. I think I've seen it a few times. I'm not sure, but one promo I saw was they were talking about the grandpa and grandpa, or the grandpa and great uncle. I'm not entirely sure, but there are these two people, black people, a woman and a man. And they're sitting in their kitchen, and it's supposed to be how the fear of 9/11 is still going on till this day. And the woman says, well, they could be, they're like agreeing that you could have, you could separate church and state, but also separate, you know, um, the separation of church and state, can't have religion in schools is fine. People were bickering about, you can't be religious in a school, and something about the Muslims being a bit too religious at a school or something. And the guy is saying, well, should we should they should have like their own place to pray, a place to be religious or to be at. And the woman's all like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he says their own, and the guy's like he's coming in at an angle. You can see how he turns his eye, like he looks like right out of the corner of his eye, like this, And he says like their own separate place to be. He says, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he says, pauses and says, you could say their own segregated place to be. And the girl's like, yeah, yeah, oh no. And it's like, see, it's easy to fall into the mindset of racist, but without the anger. She fell into the mindset of a racist out of fear. Now, no one really thought of that. That's why I gave that show props, which I know very little of. I've seen my fair share of comedies. After Fresh Prince of Bel Air, I kind of just lost interest in those shows. All shows like that. I'm kind of swinging back into it with Modern Family and Last Man Standing on a loose term, on an episode by episode basis. I'm really not, getting back into it because it draws me back in. It's really catching my attention at all. But anyway, yeah, so I found that rather interesting, and why people do that. Now, we've seen this in history. World War II, the ghettos with the Jews and all that, when they were separatists, they were put in micro stand-in cities, like these little isolated little cities, like cities, with apartments and stores and everything. So in this like smaller version of a city, there'd be um, it looks like a real city. They'd be moved there out of the big cities into this small little city, and then from there they went to the internment camps. You'll see that in Schindler's List. And then what would we do over here at the end of the war is we had the internment camps for all the Asians. Now, what is all this doing? Is because, and with segregation here in the South back in the early 1800s and all that, is the illusion of control over the world. When you feel all these emotions of insecurity, anger, you try to apply your control over it. That's why everyone's separating this thing. Because we fear the Jews because they're causing so much trouble. We fear the Asians because they could be, our enemies. We fear the blacks because they could steal our wallets or something. Everyone's comes from this fear and anger, and then we try to apply this sense of control over the world. And it's just an illusion. Doesn't matter if you remove the Jews, the Asians, or the blacks. There's still going to be crime. There's still going to be corruption. There's still going to be stupidity. Just because you remove a demographic doesn't mean you remove a problem. It just means you remove the demographic. And it just shows that you're an idiot, because that doesn't fucking cure anything. There's no cure-all for this. It's just we all got to try to be better people. And I realize this at work, because again, I think a lot of work, because I am alone a lot of work, and I think. And it's like we seem to just keep repeating that same problem over and over again of we get emotional, we point at somebody and say, well, there's our problem. And it's not like we just, gave them, the blacks, like an entire open tour to a university and said, here's the university, just go right on in. Remember, a lot of them were not educated back when they were freed. And it's like, well, we're afraid, they'll come out, like scavengers, like a troll under a bridge. That's the thing. Everyone keeps, dehumanizing the races. They're just like this, like troll underneath a bridge. Like this evil force, this subhuman thing. Like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Like everything's like something like, no, they're not human. They're this hunchback thing. This thing you should fear. That lives under bridges. It's like that. It's like they do that to each different race that they point their finger at and say, this is the problem. And those we gotta blame somebody. And so so this stigma is stuck there, and it's like, give them a minute to dust themselves off. They just gotten freed. Jeez, you think that it's just gonna pounce back up out of the ditch and dust themselves off, and it's like, okay, now let's just go and live our lives like regular ordinary people. It's like, you gotta take a second and say, well, wait a minute, I gotta get an education. I gotta know how to do stuff. It takes a second for an entire race of people to just say, well, all right, that happened. Take a minute. All right, let's go. And then people say, no, it's a thing. It's going to stay there forever. They're going to be this way like forever. It's like, no, they're not. It's going to take them a minute to get caught up. But once they do, they'll be fine. Jesus. And it's like, but no, don't get educated. It just turns into this stupidity thing, stupid. And then no one really apologized for segregation. Nobody apologized for the internment camps. Nobody apologized for the ghettos. You know, no one apologized for that. No one ever said any of these things. They just, yeah, they mumble something and they soldier off. You know, and just forget it ever happened. Atrocities of humanity, and they're like, yeah, that happened. But the thing is, you have to understand, not condone, but understand, is that it's easy to fall into the pitfalls of being an asshole very easily, especially when you let your emotions. The girl on the show, the black lady on the show, and yes, I keep calling them that because that's easier in case. Because back when I was a kid, they kept saying, "Well, they were blacks about the '80s and early '90s." Oh no, wait, they changed their minds. They renamed themselves. I've never heard of anybody doing that, and quite frankly, I thought it was rather annoying that someone just in the middle of all this. It's like me saying, "Hi, I'm Dave," in the middle of a party, and then up into the middle part of the party. Then after that, say, "No, no, I'm George." It's like saying, "But you say your name was Dave a second ago." No, now it's George. It just got like, okay. Uh, Dave Philip the Second. Yeah, it just turns into a thing. It's like simplicity's sake. Language is going to a simplicity thing, and it just turns into this thing where it's like you have to be more mindful about people's feelings. Well, in the meanwhile, I'm being bullied in the corner, and everyone says, "No, no, they're African American." Oh, you're a geek. You have glasses. 5-on-1. Let's go. It's like, for fuck's sake. Those are white kids, by the way. So, you know, everyone, the beginning of the snowflakiness, you know. And it's like, and then now it's everyone's feelings. I'm getting off track here. I'm just annoyed with everyone's snowflakiness. It's just a sore spot for me because nobody comes to my writing to my rescue. That's why I'm so annoyed with it. If you want to improve your status title, fine. Good. Whatever. The point is, the lady on the show doesn't want to be reminded of the fact that she felt vulnerable and afraid. She doesn't want a walking, living reminder of the fact that she, for a brief moment, felt that way. No one does. So, out of sight, out of mind, try to get on with her lives. That's why she fell into that. She had something that she doesn't want to deal with. A deep personal feeling that she doesn't want to share or admit to the world. So it's easier to have a person stand on the other side of a wall or something, just out of her sight. She knows it exists, just somewhere else, not where I can see you. And I will try to feel better about myself. And that's what she was going on about. You know, and that's why she fell into the thing. Like, oh no, I stepped into a racist territory. Easier than she ever thought it was. Like stepping into a cow patty. Like, oh, damn. And that's the thing people don't understand. Racism isn't hatred. Racism can be based on another emotion. Fear. Fear of feeling vulnerable. Having anxieties. Being uncertain about your future. I'm really pouring my heart out in these videos, aren't I? On my viewpoints. Since my whole life is, Greg, care about everyone else's feelings, but fuck you and your feelings. Is like, but I have feelings too. No, Greg, fuck you and your feelings. Everyone else's feelings matter. Your feelings don't. That's what I feel in life. It's like walk on eggshells, around you, but everyone just gets to line up and kick you in the ribs. It's like it just feels like your life sometimes, where it's just it doesn't feel very fair now, doesn't it? Anyway, I hope that gives you some more insight. I'm not a dick. I'm just sore. I'm just tired of being kicked around. I'm just tired of being bullied by people in life. You know, they're just like, well, I get to talk to you every way I want because I'm in charge, because I'm me. Oh God. And what's so special? What, you know, I think of myself like, what's so fucking special about you? What gives you this authority? Because I'm special. Oh God. Deal with this. But anyway, yeah, I thank that show for showing me that racism is also done out of fear, and not just hatred and ignorance. It's fear and a bit of ignorance. But it's what happens when we let our emotions run our lives. You know, you find a way to separate someone, like in that old Twilight Zone episode, where the entire town goes dark in the middle of the day. Nothing works. No lights, no TV, no radio, nothing even turns on. But one car in a driveway turns on mysteriously without the key. No one even behind the wheel. And everyone just starts thinking of what makes this person so special that their car would magically turn on in the midst of this town-wide blackout. And they will come up with this, you know, anything and everything. They will, you know, come up with these innate stories, just pull it right out of their ass, and then the car turns off. And then a light turns on in someone else's house. Then they'll turn on that person and say, well, what makes you so special that your light's on? Dude, I'm standing right here. I didn't turn the damn thing on. And you know me. There's nothing more special about me. And everyone knows everybody. And everybody knows no one is really more special. But they'll pick at and try to find and do this. You're more religious or anything. They were just picking stuff out of their ass. And then other stuff would turn on. And they would turn around and turn on that person. And then you should see stuff turning on over here, turning on, turning off, turning on, turning off, turning on, turning off, turning off. We pull back to a hilltop overlooking the city where everyone's running around, crisscross like this, back and forth, like in this merry-go-round of insanity and blaming and fear and finger pointing. We pull back to this hilltop with this alien with a little device in his arms, with like a neck strap so he can hold this thing up. He's using these joysticks, and he's talking to this guy. It's like, oh, basically what it boils down to is like, oh, we are totally fucking with these people. It's amazing how fast, within a half hour, we've got a peaceful town turning on everybody. And it's just insane. And honestly, that is the perfect truth. It is easy to turn people against each other when you immense fear, paranoia. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. That's a perfect example of that right there. Once you introduce simple, nice folks, that will help you. But you introduce fear into that, oh, it will just, it'll just epically expand from there to fear, to anger, to hate, to pain, and I was pretty sure if they actually continued the story the next morning, everyone would be dead. Because everyone would have turned on each other in this blind rage of insanity and madness. Yeah. Just be more in control of your emotions. I lived through something like that with someone very special to me. Very, very important person to me in all my existence. And over time, some strange reason that was explained to me later, because, Drew tried to tell me this beforehand, is that suddenly it feels like I'm living with a crazy person, like this emotionally disturbed, bipolar person. And no matter what, I was the bad guy. And it just turned into this thing where you're loving someone one year, then the next, suddenly it's, okay, I really don't want to spend my life with you anymore. I really don't. Because every time I get near you, it just turns into, we are just so not on the same page. That person's over emotional. They demand. And just basically just could not give a shit about me. And it got really hard to live with that person. And that person only apologized for their actions. It wasn't physical abuse, it was verbal and emotional. That you think, well, I'm worth something to somebody, to a certain degree, of course. Not in every situation, but you think you would be. But then that person just says, yeah, fuck you. What? It's like, yeah, just, you don't matter anymore. You're not worth it. You're not worth going on a limb for. But then that person would turn around and then suddenly be, I go off and do something. And suddenly it's like, I thought you would get lost. We'd never see you again. I only went to San Diego for the day. Jeez. Or, because I didn't know where you were. This entire year you said you couldn't give a shit about my existence. Now it's, you care. You are brought to tears the fact you couldn't find me for 6 hours. You see what I'm trying to convey here. That was really hard to deal with until someone explained to me what the hell was going on. And apparently it's a perfectly normal part of life. And that's what happens when you let your And then this person was the Rock. They had their shit together. They've done more than I could ever hope to achieve in my life. Family life, personal life. They weren't a big success, but they achieved shit. They didn't succumb to the pitfalls of drug abuse and verbal abuse or alcoholism. Like I drank this whole thing yesterday. That was just yesterday. But that's the thing, is that this person was my rock. They were a shining example of what to be. And then what they became over this short span of years at a certain point in time was suddenly this exact opposite person. They just stopped caring. You're so stable, you're so, committed, and then suddenly that person is just emotional, detached. You do any wrong thing, well, I need some help here, fuck you, you're on your own. But I kind of have to put myself in danger, it doesn't matter. Well, I'm off to San Diego, oh my god, don't get lost. I go visit grandma. Where have you been? Like, grandma's? It's like, it's this bipolar thing, and it's just run off of just pure emotion. There is no breaks. And that's the hardest part. That you realize is that this person has to be self-policing now, solely. Because that one person was the only person who's put in charge. It's one of the hardest times I had to deal with. Then came 4 years later, and then that became the second, also hardest part of my life. With that person. It's hard watching loved ones go through shit. And it's hard to try and stand near a loved one when metaphorically they're staring you right in the eye and telling you fuck you, for no real reason at all. That's why you surround yourself with friends, loved ones, spouses, people you can rely on to hold you in check. Because without definition, without limitations, without walls of some sort, you're just going to go wherever. You know, we have to believe in ourselves that we are self-policing to a certain degree. And outside of that, we have our friends and family and loved ones. We have the system. We have police officers, judges. But you remove enough brakes around you, you're just going to just keep going. Want someone to stop you and say, "Wait, stop! You're being over emotional. There is no brakes here." You know, got to be aware of what you're doing. It's one of the hardest things to do. Your fearless leader is turned into a petty dictator. Something's really difficult. But yeah, that's. I know, these videos are always more like all over the place, so I'm trying to convey an emotion. Basically, this video is about emotions, how people can easily just fall into things when they just let their emotions just guide them unrestrained. You know? You just go, and you find yourself in these weird predicaments, and it's like, ah, geez, how did I get here? It's like, well, because no one really stopped you. You know? Sometimes you need that person to stand in your way and stop you. And I hope that I could be there for them too when they need it. Alright, it's enough insane ramblings from this bearded idiot. I hope I know what show that was. I honestly didn't catch the title. I know for a fact it was not the Burnie Mack show. He was awesome, by the way. I rather like that episode where it shows the two angles between the parent and the children, because he worked hard to get these nice things, the nice house, the nice yard, everything's nice, but then he looks around and says, "What the fuck happened to my fence? What happened to my yard? What happened to my something else?" I know, like, each child was doing something that was ruining of the house. So, they're being, we children, we happy. And then he's like, "What the heck are you doing? You're making a mess. You're ruining this." So he sets them up with tasks to fix what they were doing, and now they're all mad at him because it's like, "What are you putting us to work for? We hate this. We mad at you." So you see the children's angle. You can understand their anger towards this because they don't like being put towards work. Neither did I. Much of the time when I was a child, I like working with people, not just really giving a task and then just left alone. Especially when it was severely difficult. I like proving myself. But anyway, yes. So you could see the Burnie Mac is being happy that he's getting stuff fixed, and the children are all upset at the fact that it's them having to do this. Yeah, he was funny. I liked him. But no, it wasn't the Burnie Mac show. It was, I think, some show, unless I'm confusing it with some other show, where the son gets, he thought, I believe, judging from his reaction to the fact that he had gotten a hot girlfriend, had gotten laid, and then now has to deal with the fact that he has a child. That was rather interesting. And the dad's like, "What, you think it was going to be a cakewalk? You got the hot chick and got laid, and you think that's it? That was only the high point. From here, it's all just responsibility. It's all just on the mark now. Be dedicated." He's like, "The baby was stomping into the kitchen. The baby was crying all night." And it's like, well, yeah, that's called parenthood, genius. And what was it? I think the first one I saw part of it was when, like, the friend of the family, the friend of the dad's or whatever. And honestly, I don't know what parent would ever let a guy like this near his kids. But there was this one part where he's trying to tell the child in rated G format how awesome chicks are. And he was saying something about beach bunnies. He goes, I don't know what a beach bunny is, but I want one. Because he's starting to get that age. He's 12-ish. And he said, hey, we're going to watch Incredibles. He takes the disc, goes, oh, this is a cartoon. Oh, I thought you meant something else. And it's like, who the hell would let anybody like this guy near their kids? Or even near their family? You know, it just comes off as mismatched and, quite frankly, very creepy and stupid. And a very self-centered character. He's going to teach your kid how to be a player asshole like himself. That doesn't make any sense. So why would he let that element in his house? I don't know. I have to watch the episode fully to find out. I only saw part of it. But it seems like an interesting show to look into and maybe get back into the sitcom side of things. But yeah. I'm not racist, I'm just lazy. Anyway, yeah, but anyway. So those are my thoughts. Preposterous storytelling. How emotions lead nice people to doing insane things. How it's difficult living with said insane, crazy person. Which is the normal, by the way, because people go through that. Because if you knew what I know now, then you're like, oh, I know what he's talking about. I know this is not someone who just takes pills or has to go to an asylum or anything. You know, this is that normal insanity that no one ever really talks about. But yeah, that insanity I just talked about is all perfectly normal. It happens to millions of people every day. Yeah. So I guess that's everything I wanted to talk about, I guess. In a weird hodgepodge way. Did I upload my 9/11 video? My story about that? I'm pretty sure I did. I'm not entirely sure if it was taken down or not, but I think I did. I have to check my stuff, but maybe someday I'll either regale you with the story, or I'll put it up. I'm not sure, or re-upload it. I don't know, but hopefully. And if you're watching, friend, I hope you're doing okay. And I hope when we do meet again that I'll be there when you need me. You know, during those times in your life. Alright, well, hopefully hopefully I'll hear from you someday. Wherever you're at, and I hope you're happy. Hope you're having fun. If anything, your Facebook photos have talked about, at least you're still traveling. Have one on me, kid. Take care. God bless.